I want to show you how to do video analysis in LoggerPro. And this is what I showed in class. I'm just going to replay it quickly so that you'll have a video to which to refer as you do your homework. So I've open up LoggerPro. I have a clean file here, and I want to bring in the video that I want to analyze. I like to put the videos on a page of their own, so I'm going to make a new page. Go to Page and then Add Page. I'm going to call it Video and leave everything else at default. So here's my new page. On this page I want to insert a video. LoggerPro calls it a movie though, so it'll be Insert Movie. And I need to navigate to where I've saved the file. I think this is it. Yes, this is it. Okay, we're going to need to click on the video to mark our data points, so I want to make it large. So I drag it up to the top left of the available space and then resize it. And so it takes up maximum height in the screen. Okay, so I'm going to just play it, get a sense of what it does. Okay, and I notice that the video stops just after the front wheel passes or almost completely passes the end of the meter stick. That's significant because I don't want to include anything in the video past that point. And I also notice I have a meter stick in the background, and so I'm going to want to start recording data at a known position on the meter stick. So I'm going to use a button to advance one frame at a time until the front of the buggy, I'm going to use the front wheel, is even with some marking on the stick. And it looks like the center of the wheel is basically even with the 10 centimeter mark on the meter stick. So that'll be my starting point for the video for collecting data. Now I need some way to tell LoggerPro that's where I'm starting and that's where 0 is. So I'm going to go on the right hand side, bottom left, bottom right that is, and click the button with the red dots on it. That throws up a graph and a right sidebar that has buttons. To start off with, we want the third button down to set the origin. So I click that and the mouse cursor changes to crosshairs, and I will set the origin to be the center of the front wheel. If the axis was not parallel to the motion, we would want to click and drag that yellow dot to rotate the axis, but we don't need to because this one's fairly parallel. The next thing we want to do is set the scale. So the fourth button down is setting the scale. This basically is going to inform LoggerPro of the scaling of distances in your video. You always want to shoot a video that has something in it the size of which you know. In this case we have a meter stick. So I'm going to start at one end of the meter stick, click and drag all the way to the other end of the meter stick. As I do so, it puts a little green line on there. And when I let go of the button, it asks me, okay, how long is that line you just drew? And it happens to be a meter, so I'll just click OK. Now I'm ready to start marking points. So the second button down is Add Point. So I'll choose that, and I'm going to choose that first point. I'm going to try and be really accurate with this one because this is my 0 point. So right about there. Notice after I click, the video advances one frame. Now I can, every time I click on the video, it's going to add another data point. If I did every single frame, that would be a lot of data points and a lot of marking. So what I'm going to do instead is manually advance 3 more frames. So it would be a total of 4 frames between marks, and I'll mark that position. And then keep doing this pattern. 3 more, and then mark. It advances 1 with the mark, plus these 3 is 4 between marks. I'm just going to continue doing this until I get to the end of the motion. You may notice that LoggerPro has been creating a graph, adding points to the graph on the right hand side every time we mark a position. It's not only adding X horizontal data but also vertical data. We will not use the vertical data since this motion is strictly horizontal. Okay, I'm finished marking positions, and so all I have to do now is go back to page 1 and look at the nice data table that LoggerPro created for us. This data table not only has, let me get this all on one page, not only has X position but also Y position and the time for each. And it shows that my first point was at a little over 1/4 of a second into the motion. And I know that's not true because it is true that it started that long after the video started, but I want 0 to be where I put the origin. So what I need to do is I need to tell LoggerPro that that's what I am defining as 0. So that spot right there, where that first dot appears, I'm just stepping through from the beginning again. When that first dot appears, that's 0. So in the lower right corner of the video, there is another button that says Sync Movie to Graph. I'll choose that, and it's basically asking me, this position that you have paused the video at, this particular frame of the movie, which is 0.26667 seconds into the movie, what point in your data should that correspond to? So the graph time is the point in your data. The movie time is how long since the beginning of the movie. And so we just are simply telling it by putting 0 in this first blank that when the movie is at 0.26667 seconds, that's 0 seconds for my motion data. So I will OK that and go back to page 1. And now my first time, very interesting, -3 seconds. That's an interesting result. I might hit sync data again and see. Oh, it's not showing me the whole value. This is -3.3 times 10 to the -6, which means it's a very small number. So I'm cool with that. Now I need to graph the data. So I've clicked on the graph to select it, and as you move the cursor around on the graph, it changes shape based on what it's looking at. If you go all the way to the place where a y-axis title would be, it changes to y ... So I'm going to click at that point, and then click on the More menu choice. And now I need to give the vertical axis a title, and this is going to be position. Put the title, and in parentheses put the units, which will be meters. Then out of the data list, I need to check which of these variables corresponds to position, horizontal position. So that would be the variable x. The units are in meters. So I will OK this, and it was smart enough to figure out that time should be on the horizontal axis. So there's my data. don't like the way the graph is scaled, so I can click on the A button at the top to auto scale it, and that's much nicer. I'm using up as much space as I can. It looks like it might be linear, so I'm going to do a linear fit, which is this button here. And so now LoggerPro has fit a line to the data. And notice it doesn't go right through every data point because it's a best fit line. In the statistics box, I see this is the equation for a line. Position is slope times time plus y-intercept. The slope is basically 0.25 meters per second, and the y-intercept is really close to 0. How well does this data fit a line? Extremely well. The correlation is very close to 1, and in fact in this case it is 1. So that's your crash course on doing video analysis with motion video.